Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of UIL Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started UIL Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to UIL Texas. We're glad you're here.
30-yard line, the 20, the 10.
Texas coaches, Coach Brackle here from First Down Playbook. After 25 years as a Texas high school football coach, I understand the time, energy, and commitment it takes to compete at your level. First Down Playbook was created by coaches for coaches to help you vertically line your total program. 1 week free team membership for all Texas high school and college coaches. Let First Down Playbook help give you that winning edge.
Tep and Stepp, your premium Texas high school football podcast from your friends at Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. I am the Tep Greg Tepper.
And I'm the Step, Matt Stepp.
Thank you for being a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber or for waiting until Friday morning to watch this bad boy on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Regardless, we appreciate your viewership in the penultimate episode of Tep and Stepp. We also want to thank Tiny VNA Moreno for doing this. There she is.
I'm
Tiny
here.
VNA. Hi, Tiny VNA. This is your Friday preview edition of Tep and Stepp. We do thank you for being a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber. All 3 Friday games getting you prepped for 4A and 5A. And this is when the crowds start to swell. This is when you start noticing there's a lot more people here.
This is my favorite day of the weekend. Of this year's slate, if you're giving me one, now I said Columbus and Malakoff is my favorite game. My favorite day, if you tell me I could only come to one day, I'm coming to Friday. This is my favorite day.
We will kick off Friday, 11 a.m. Friday morning at AT&T Stadium in Arlington is the Class 4A Division II State Championship game between the Carthage Bulldogs and the La Vega Pirates. So La Vega beat Wimberley last week, and about an hour after the final gun, I got a text from Don Hyde.
Petty Don Hyde showed up.
The coach at La Vega, who just said, nice pick.
Love that
guy.
He's such a...
I love that guy too. I love that guy. Let me tell you something. Don Hyde's a firecracker. His wife's even more fun. His wife is awesome.
Yeah,
she's so much fun.
They come to our social every year at coaching school, and they
Mrs. Hyde is one of my very favorite people. Don Hyde is fine too.
Yeah, he's okay.
But he's a heck of a football coach, and he has Dave Campbell's alma mater, the Pirates of La Vega. The boys from Belmead are coming back to AT&T Stadium, and they look a little different in that they do a couple of things differently than some of the past La Vega teams that we've seen. But like one thing you're getting with a Don Hyde coached La Vega squad, they are going to beat the crap out of you.
They're going to play physical defense. They're going to be sound defensively. They're going to play fast. They always have good team speed, and they're always going to play physical. And they're one of the few teams that I think when they're at their best can give Carthage trouble, especially on this stage. La Vega and Carthage have had some playoff battles in the past, and La Vega's come out on top in more than one occasion. Now, Carthage has gotten them too, including the 2019 state championship game, which Carthage beat La Vega. But I think the year before they played in the semifinals, and it was a knockdown drag out there at the Ford Center. So when La Vega's good, they can play with Carthage. This is not going to be a coronation, so to speak.
No, and La Vega is good. Linebacker Warren Richardson. The star of the show for this La Vega team is running back Bryson Rowland, who has been terrific. But last week in their romp over Wimberley, you want to talk about a coming out party for sophomore quarterback Courtney Parr, who was sensational. This is a big, thick boy back there at QB1, and he's playing with some swagger right now.
And the Parr name at La Vega in the past, they've had Parr, and I don't know what their relations are, but I'm pretty sure they're related. Parr is not a super common last name, but Parr is the spelling. They've had a Parr that was a girls basketball star. They've had a Parr that was a football star, led La Vega to a state championship. La Vega played Prosper in a state championship game not that long ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Prosper played La Vega not that long ago. So there's been Parrs that have done good things for La Vega, and Courtney Parr is the next one, and he's done a great job. This is La Vega offense is not the La Vega offense that you're used to, where they were ground and pound and kind of they will air it out. They will put the ball in the air. Jabari Thornton is a dude on the outside, a fun player to watch. He's got a bunch of offers. But they still have that notable La Vega speed.
Absolutely. Their task to win a state championship is even though they're not the defending state champs, the team of record in 4A Division II in the Carthage Bulldogs. And last week against who they played? They played Brock and smushed them. That's just what they did. Carthage treated Brock pretty similar to essentially every team they've seen this year, which is they hit him in the mouth on the defensive side with Clayton Ingram and company. And then they ran the ball exceptionally well last week with KJ Edwards and Benny Smith.
Benny the Bull Smith.
I tweeted this about it. You just get tired of tackling him. You just get tired. That offensive line is cooking. And here's the thing about Carthage, and the reason why they're dangerous this year is that if the running game's not working, and spoiler alert, the running game's usually working.
It's usually working well.
Buddy, Jet Surratt is not some nepotism hire at quarterback, okay?
No, he's legit.
Jet Surratt is a legit dude. He's thrown like 46 touchdowns this year.
Well, he not only is he talented physically, but he is an extension of Scott Surratt on the field, which is scary as hell. But he knows that offense like the back of his hand. He knows the reads. He knows how to run this very
He grew up in it.
System. Yeah, he's been in it since he was a little kid.
He has thrown for 49 touchdowns this year. 49.
Yeah.
Their offense is outrageous, and it belies an outstanding defense that they've got. And, of course, there is the big question, which is Scott Surratt in a title game literally Thanos? Okay? Because he's 9-0 in title games.
The greats don't have that kind of record. No. I think did Buchanan – I think Buchanan went undefeated in state championship games as well, but because the one they lost to College Station was Steve Wood was the coach. But I think Buchanan is like 8-0.
Mm-hmm. G.A. Moore, I think, is 8-0 as well.
Okay.
But Gordon Wood lost title games.
Yeah, Gordon Wood, I think, was 7-2 or 8-2, I think.
8-2.
Like that. Yeah.
He can become the first UIL Texas Football State champion coach to win 10 titles. One for the thumb. Mm-hmm. Now, and the thing about Scott Surratt and what makes him so good in title games, and I had a coach tell me this, is that he is a play calling wizard. Yes,
he is.
And he will, I had a coach tell me once, he goes, the reason he's so tough, so good at this is that he doesn't care. He will run any play on any down and distance at any spot on the field. And you have to be prepared for the entire playbook on every snap. Now, Don Hyde is a ball coaching jack. And if there is a guy who can dethrone Scott Surratt, I think Don Hyde might be the guy.
Yeah. You talk about Surratt and the way he sets plays up. He's calling plays to set up a play 5 plays down the road or 10 plays down the road. He sets things up. And you can see when Carthage gets rolling, we'll all start tweeting, "Oh, the machine is online. Surratt's in his bag." Like we can all feel it and see it when he gets cooking. Hyde at La Vega, I've never seen anyone when La Vega was at their best defensively. I've never seen anyone completely handcuff the Liberty Hill slot T offense like La Vega did. La Vega in one game, I think, beat Liberty Hill like 20-6. Like they just completely shut down Liberty Hill's offense. No one shuts down Liberty Hill. Like even when Liberty Hill loses, they usually put up points. So he's a defensive wizard. He's given Carthage. They've held Carthage somewhat in check at times when they've been really good. The problem here for me with La Vega this year is I don't think this is a vintage La Vega defense. I think this is maybe one of their best offenses they've ever had, and they're playing their best football at the right time. But I don't know that I look at this La Vega defense and go, "Oh, this is the best defense La Vega's ever had." I think it's just a good defense. That's my concern going up against Carthage in this football game.
Last week, when they throttled Wimberley, absolutely. But Wimberley got theirs. Like, they were able to run the ball. Cody
Stover got his. Yeah, Stover
got
had
his.
a good game.
It is going to be up to La Vega, I think, to play that best defensive game of the year, and then they've still got to find a way through the Carthage defense. Which is just
really good in their own right. I mean,
oh my gosh, yes,
they're really good.
In fact, you can make an argument their defense is better than their offense.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson years ago. I don't pick against Scott Surratt in title games. That's just it. And if it happens, I think La Vega can do it.
If it happens, we'll all be wrong because
we'll all be wrong.
I guarantee Don Hyde's eating this up. Like he's
absolutely
loving. Like the
he's
whole
clip
state.
This. Hi, Don.
No one is picking La Vega to win this game. Maybe there's a sport. Maybe DJ Ramirez. Maybe at the Waco trip, she's picking them, but. No one that's an objective observer is picking La Vega in this game because no one, and it's not an indictment of La Vega. It's the respect and that everyone has for Scott Surratt and the record that he has. And here's the thing about Carthage in state championship games: it's rarely close. Like Carthage gets in the title game and they just blow your doors off. Like they don't play close state title games.
I think the first quarter is critical for La Vega. They have to come out hot because you cannot win a state championship in the first quarter, but especially against Carthage, you can lose it.
Remember when they played Gilmer and Gilmer was up 14-0 and then they scored 70 in a row. That's just what Carthage. When that avalanche comes, it just blows your doors off.
La Vega's going to have something, but I think Carthage has to be your favorite in this one. So we move 3:00 Friday afternoon at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. It is the Class 4A Division I state championship game between the Celina Bobcats and Matt Stepp's Kilgore Bulldogs. Matt Stepp put in the call 19 weeks ago, essentially, and said, "Hey, Kilgore's going to make it to state." And damn if you weren't correct.
Yeah. Kilgore's impressed me all year. When I saw them, this is going to go back to 7-on-7. When I saw them in May at their 7-on-7 tournament, I told Clint Fuller that I said, "This is a state championship type football team." And I didn't even see their linemen yet, but I just saw what they had, skill spots, and then talking to him and knowing what they had coming back, I just said, "This is a state champion caliber ball club." They beat Carthage in the season opener. Now Kilgore had a couple of hiccups early, losing a close game to Gilmer and then a really kind of mystifying loss to Henderson. But since then, they've been on an absolute roll. And they exercised the Chapel Hill playoff demon a couple of weeks ago. They beat Lavernia last week in crappy weather down there in Houston. They've been putting it together. This is Celina is deservedly the number one team in the state. They have the resume. They've done what needs to be done. But if there's a team that can give them trouble, I think it's Kilgore because of the defense, the front seven, and Kilgore, even in the secondary. Kilgore's secondary is elite. This is a good defense at all three levels.
So what's interesting about this ball game is that I think if you look at these two teams from a trajectory perspective, Kilgore is trending up and Celina, admittedly from like way up here, maybe flattening out, maybe trending a little bit down. Last week, they had to escape West Plains. The week before, They got and the past 3 weeks now against Alvarado and against Aubrey in the previous 2 weeks, their defense has been touched up a little bit.
Yeah, other than the second half against Alvarado, the past 12 quarters, 10 of them have gotten touched up a little bit. Actually, they were great in the first half against Aubrey too, but they've shown some vulnerability. Last week, I was at that game in Abilene. And West Plains, great offense, really complex scheme, did a great job. Kilgore presents a different challenge because they're just going to throw a lot of team speed and physicality at you. And I don't know if Celina has anyone – like when Kilgore wants to, I think they're just going to say, hey, when all else fails, get the ball to Jaden Sanders. And I don't think Celina has anyone that can match up with Jaden Sanders.
Here is we're kind of dancing around, I think, the real money matchup here. Because Kilgore's front seven is outrageous. Wiley Mitchell, Jackson Tucker Phillips. And they are facing a Celina offense that, quite frankly, no one's had an answer to.
No one stopped them all year. Yeah.
No one's people have barely slowed them down.
Yeah. It starts with that great offensive line, which is a staple of Celina football. They're great up front. But what makes – and they've got two great running backs in Harrison Williams and Logan Gutierrez. But what makes this Celina offense unique is Bo Bentley. He's like the Infinity Stone. He's the thing that they've never had, and he is an elite. I mean, we're talking Division I, big time recruit at quarterback. He's got all the tools. He's a big kid. He's a multi-sport athlete. Got a soccer and lacrosse background. He can run. He can do a lot of different things. And then when he needs to rip the ball and make throws, there was a throw he made on that last drive.
I know exactly what play you're talking about.
It was Tepper. There was a 20-mile-per-hour wind he was throwing into. On the run, he generated so much velocity on that football. I was like, what in the hell is this? He's unbelievable.
I want you to try this on for size. I've been thinking about this. Bo Bentley, Hoss Haney. He's not as fast as Hoss Haney.
No,
but he's bigger, and he can run too.
Yeah.
And he's also just got that it factor.
Yeah. He's a leader. He's a leader of men.
He is. And so going up against this Kilgore defense, that is box office stuff. Like that's good on good.
That's your money matchup.
There are home runs to be hit in this ball game. And here's why I like Celina. Okay. I am not sure that Kilgore's offense profiles as the kind of offense that gives Celina trouble. What has given Celina trouble has been like wide open spreads and like not just throwing the ball. Throwing the ball has been a problem for them, but especially like spread you out and run the ball. Kilgore is going to be a little bit more ground and pound, a little bit more lean on those running games. Kason Brooks is a good quarterback. I think he has to throw really well in this game to win this ball game. It would not be a surprise, though, if this is – I wouldn't be surprised with a shootout. Like, this is a fascinating ball game, and a lot of it's going to stem from can Kilgore slow down the Celina offense and do what nobody else has been able to do.
And I think they can, because I don't think Celina's faced the best defense that Celina's probably faced this year is probably early in the year Belleville. But we saw Belleville clearly wasn't what they were. La Vega's defense is not great. Their district, as tough as it was not loaded with great defensive football teams. They really haven't played a defense anything like Kilgore. This is going to be by far, by a factor of 3 or 4, the best defense they've seen all year. So I'm really fascinated by that matchup. That's why I took Kilgore in this game. I just think their defense is going to give Celina trouble, and that's why I went with it. But I if you pick Celina, and most everyone else did, I think you're well within your rights at all. I don't think you're a crazy person by picking Celina. I'm just going to go with defense, and I'm going to stick with my preseason pick here. I've been riding with them, and then they've made me look smart all year. So why not one more week?
Nothing wrong with that. The computer has this as Celina by 7. I will say this, at least part of that is, again, you go back to that really baffling loss to Henderson where they were pretty clear favorites. Like that really hurt. The computer is still really taking that into account.
Sure. Henderson was an average football team.
Yeah.
Kilgore That's a concern. The other concern, if I'm a Kilgore fan, is they were not able to run the ball well last week.
Mm-hmm.
They only ran for 54 yards last week against Lavernia. You got to get that fixed this week.
It's a great game. Also, great crowd. Two really good fan bases. And I think Carthage fans are going to stick around for Kilgore.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of overflow. The only problem is they got to switch sides because Carthage is Region 2 and Kilgore is Region 3. So all the Carthage people have to walk to make that long journey to the other side of the stadium.
Might be some red sprinkled in with that orange.
It might be. All
right. We've round out Friday, 7:00 Friday night at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, home of the Dallas Cowboys, as the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears back into a fourth state championship game in a row. That is a real sentence that I said. Taking on the third-year varsity program, a program that was not in existence when they made their first state championship game.
That's crazy. It's true. Wow.
The Randle Lions out of Lamar Consolidated ISD. And I'll say this, both of these teams got to feel pretty good about the last time they were on the football field.
Yeah. Both of these teams are coming off emphatic semifinal wins, which you don't normally see. Both teams. State semifinals, more often than not, are going to be very close and competitive games. And at least one, your odds of having both of them be pretty lopsided results is long. But we had that this week because Celina drubbed Argyle. Shout out to our guy Blake.
South Oak Cliff drubbed Argyle.
Sorry, it's been a long day, y'all. Sock drubbed Argyle 37-3. Shout out to our guy Blake Jones. They're on the Argyle broadcast, but they drubbed Argyle 37-3. Randle drubbed Bernie 42-7. So both these teams are coming off big wins. It's a fun matchup. This is kind of the matchup. I would say after Randle handled Iowa Colony in the regular season as easily as they did, we kind of were like, okay, these are the two probably best teams in 5A Division II. Sock, you got to look at Sock's playoff run, and what an impressive run that the Golden Bears have done. They have, take away the first round playoff game. We knew they were that was going to be a lopsided result in the first round against Terrell, but then 30-plus point wins over Huntsville, Marshall, P&G, and Argyle. Just dominance. And we haven't seen this kind of dominance in a while. And it's because South Oak Cliff in the trenches is a 6A Division I team. Like they had the trench play on the offensive and defensive lines that can play with most everyone in 6A Division I outside of maybe North Crowley, Westlake, Duncanville, North Shore.
And that actually leads us to the real night showcase matchup, which is that South Oak Cliff offensive line taking on this Randle defense and especially this Randle front, which still, I know I'm a broken record, still has not allowed more than 14 points in a game this season.
Yeah. They're 15-0, and they've never allowed 14 points, more than 14 points.
Dude, Chase Sims and Jaquin Parker, oh my, that's a good burning offense, a really good burning offense, and they put them in the figure four. Yeah,
they're so hard to move the football against. They're good at all three levels. I love LaJalen Jones, number 12. Mm-hmm. He's a disruptive defensive lineman. Their linebackers are great. This is a really, really good Randle defense. I think maybe the best defense outside of Duncanville and North Shore that Sock's seen all year. They are that good.
And the other thing, we didn't even mention the offense, which went off last week. Landon Williams-Callis is the superstar, the sophomore running back. But last week it was Tyler Skrabonic, their quarterback, who stepped up in a big way, made some big-time throws. They've got good receivers on the outside.
Yeah, Keelan Sweeney's kind of a Swiss Army knife, does a lot of things. You remember him last year at Needville as their quarterback. He did great things at Needville. They got Deshaun Burton over there. They've got Jackson Montelongo is kind of their possession guy. When they have a 3rd and 9, they're going to Montelongo. They've got some guys at the – and then obviously it goes without saying the running back that they have. Landon Williams-Callis, who is as special a player as there is in the state of Texas.
Jason Todd, the head coach at South Oak Cliff, was interviewed after the Argyle game, and somebody asked him, they said, what do you know about Richmond Randle? And in classic Jason Todd fashion, he said, "Well, I heard they got a player named Black Jesus, so we got to get ready for the second coming."
That's an unbelievable quote.
Which is just a spectacular quote. Now, so two great teams. I think very clearly, in my opinion, now we know the two best teams in 5A Division II.
Clear, yeah, agree.
There are 3 reasons I like South Oak Cliff.
Okay.
1, big game experience. All this is new for Randle. Big game experience. South Oak Cliff, they've got guys on this roster who this is their 4th state championship game.
Sure.
This is, old hat. That's 1. 2, I think that the South Oak Cliff defensive front against the Randle offensive line is a problematic matchup for Randle.
Very problematic.
I've
said it for a couple of weeks now. Yeah, Randle's offensive line gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Their offensive line is good. Am I being generous?
I think this, and maybe they'll show me on Friday night. I think Randle has an average 5A offensive line.
Okay. And so that is, to me, advantage stock.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, a shout out to Ishmael Johnson, early adopter, Carter Kopecki. The quarterback.
Kopecki boys.
Quarterback for South Oak Cliff. South Oak Cliff is a team that runs the ball. That's what they do. Debo Williams, Mikhail Trotter, they are going to run the ball. But it has not been since 2021 that they had a legit passing attack. In 2022 and 2023, kind of where you got them was to get them into passing downs.
Yeah, their passing game was let's throw it up and hope a guy makes a play.
Exactly right.
Kopecki, I think what's been key is he's only thrown 20 touchdown passes this year because he hasn't really needed to.
Mm-hmm.
0 interceptions. He makes the right play every time. And then you add in the fact that he is a viable threat running the football as well.
Mm-hmm. I think we are in for a low-scoring game. I think both of these defenses are going to be the dominant forces in this ball game. I've got something like South Oak Cliff 24-14, something like that, like a low-scoring affair.
Mm-hmm.
But I like South Oak Cliff. I think that they enter this game as the favorite for a couple of reasons I've enunciated.
I think this game is going to go a lot like the Huntsville game, where it's close for a half. Randle's defense is going to keep him in it, but I'm just afraid. I don't think their offense can sustain drives against South Oak Cliff, and I think what's going to happen in the 3rd and 4th quarters is their defense is just going to be on the field too long, and eventually the dam is going to break. And that South Oak Cliff offensive line just keeps leaning on you, and just kind of grounds you into a fine paste.
I think here's the thing for Randle, because I'm not saying it's hopeless for Randle. I think Randle's got a great shot. I think this is like a 60-40 South Oak Cliff type advantage here. But the key for Randle is home runs. Like, you got to break them. Like,
you're not going to be able to sustain drives against it. But if you can if they can get Landon Williams-Callis a crease.
Mm-hmm.
They got to get it. But he's not a big back. He's not going to make his own holes. You got to give him a crease. If you give him a crease,
he's gone.
He's gone.
Yes.
There's no one that gets from 0 to 60 in as fast as he does. So he's special.
It's a fabulous game. It's the great final Friday night game of the Texas high school football season. After that, there will be just one day left. We will go back to our little hotels. Tiny Vianney Morena will make me text her bingo when I get back to my hotel to make sure that I'm safe. I will. I'll
put your mouth guard in.
Put in my mouth. Put in my my night guard.
Y'all forgot to say something though at the beginning of this podcast that y'all said in the other two. Y'all forgot to say don't park at Walmart.
Oh, don't park at Walmart. Yeah,
don't park at Walmart.
Don't park at Walmart.
Don't do it.
That will bring up the final day, 3 final games, but that is a podcast for another day. We do thank you for being a Dave Campbell's Texas football subscriber. Stepp, thanks for your courage.
Thank you.
Talk to you tomorrow for Saturday at State on Tep and Stepp.
Bye.